All right, well, today is the last day of an era. I'm gonna be dismantling our in-ground slip and slide today. We've had this almost 5 summers. I think this is the 5th summer, but we didn't use it this year. And before I took it down, I just thought I'd share and show what I made and how I made it, and maybe it's a inspiration or helpful practical guide for someone else. So real quick, the philosophy behind it. I grew up in Michigan, where all the back and front yards are perfectly flat. You can play soccer and all those sorts of things. And I live now in Chattanooga, and our backyard is very hilly. And I was mowing and was kind of sulking a little bit that my poor children weren't going to get to play soccer like I did and things like that. And then I kind of had a attitude change and thought, well, what is a hilly yard good for? You know what? There were times in Michigan where I was sad that we had a flat yard. What would we have done if we had a hilly yard? And I thought of sledding, but of course we basically don't get snow here in Chattanooga. And I thought, well, yeah, maybe a slip and slide would be a good idea. So I basically picked the steepest angle of the yard and basically dug out a trench, a shallow slalom trench. At the time I had a 2-year-old, so I wanted to make sure they didn't, slip off and go into the woods or something. And then I dug out a little slalom, and then I basically patted the whole thing with sand, play sand, and then put in this black tarp. You can get them at Home Depot. It's like tripled over, so it's not this width. It's actually like 3 times that wide, and it's tripled over. I put down landscape timbers with the big galvanized spikes that come with them on either side, draped the tarp, and then just ran some screws and some boards down to keep the tarp in place. So at the bottom, originally we just had a few bales of hay, and that didn't last very long. It was a really abrupt stop, and all the water made the bales of hay really like nasty and moldy and fungusy and all that. So then I rigged up, we used to have a fence back there at the back. I kind of rigged up a tarp with some rope and string and made a bit of a little pool. And then the next summer, I put in 4 posts in the ground in cement and built sort of a proper, I don't know how many gallons it is, but a proper pool. I realized that water was the best braking mechanism. That's what you see at water parks and things like that. So I used a lot of scrap that I had lying around. So nothing was really fancy or anything like that. I just used what I had. But this we've had the last 3 summers. It's worked really, really well. It's been a great way to cool off in the summer here in Chattanooga. So yeah, I basically just built this frame and then used sort of a standard tarp as the catch. And obviously we didn't use it this summer. There was a hole in the tarp at the end of last summer, and we traveled 8 weeks this summer out west, and so we haven't been here much. And we just decided, now that we have paddle boards and kayaks, when we want to get on the water, we're going to jump in the car and drive, which wasn't so easy when the kids were 2 and 4, but now that the kids are 6, 8, and 10, we like getting out more. A couple tips I would share. So basically draping this back like this with a galvanized spike really helps you not lose so much water when they come down here and splash. This was totally fine for adults. I mean, that was enough water. When it was filled to the top, it was enough water to stop us adults. I will say the black tarp is a kind of a magnet for snakes. So we have copperheads, rat snakes. Copperheads are there's some lizards too. Anyway, this tarp is kind of a magnet for snakes. They like the heat. And so just keep an eye that you don't get snakes. It's actually kind of nice that it's a magnet, because basically over the summer I would basically peel it back. There'd be 2 copperheads, I'd kill them, and you kind of always knew where they would be. Let's see, what else can I share? So we would just basically take the garden hose and put it here at the top. Sometimes we'd use baby oil and soap and things like that to speed it up. This was nice. I built a simple platform so that all of the dirt and rock wouldn't wash into here and tear it up. And we had a small foot bath. Actually, it's right there. So we had a small foot bath that the kids would always clean their feet stand on there, slide down. So last thing I'll say is, you know, when you are a dad or a mom or whatever, and you're trying to figure out like, okay, we have this problem. The problem here in Chattanooga is that for 2 months, it's horrifically hot and humid, and my kids don't want to be outside, but I want my kids to be outside. So what can we do about that? And okay, well, we need to do something with water. Okay, well, the kids nap a lot and I don't want to leave the house because I'm exhausted. So let's do something with water at the house. And anyway, when I put this in, I kind of wondered, you know, how many times will we use it? How many summers will we use it? Is it a good investment? And at first, it kind of felt like it's way too much work. They're not going to use it enough. But looking back, we used it 4 summers, and we probably only used it 3 or 4 times each summer. But on the one hand, you look at that and say, okay, 20 uses, it wasn't worth it. On the other hand, those memories in the children's minds will probably last forever. The effort I put into this will hopefully remind the children later in life how much I love them and care for them, and am willing to work hard for their childhood. And the other thing is, I think back to certain things in my childhood that it seemed like we did all the time. But when I talked to my parents, we really only did it 3 or 4 times. So children, you know, as an adult, if they do this for an hour, you think, oh, it was only an hour, that wasn't that long. But for children, they'll remember it forever. So I just encourage moms and dads out there, do something epic, do something weird, do something countercultural, do something that hurts the resale value of your house if it means doing something amazing for your kids. And 4 or 5 years later, when they've outgrown it, rip it out, do something else. It's time well spent, it's money well spent, and I highly doubt you'll regret all the memories that you spend as a family doing crazy stuff together. All right, folks, take care.